evening, as clerk, it's my responsibility to call the meeting to order in the absence of our Mayor Morley. Today is Monday, June 16th, 2014, and I welcome you to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Elmhurst City Council. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now call the roll to establish a quorum. Gutenkopf. Here. Deuter. Here. Dunn.
Here.
Leader.
Here.
Belumsky.
Here.
Graham.
Here.
Hipskin. Absent. York.
Almost here.
Okay. Levin.
Here.
Healy.
Here.
Honquist.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Mulliner.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
13 present, 1 absent. Next item on our agenda tonight is a proclamation that the mayor is handing out to strike out Rett Syndrome Day. And in the absence of the mayor as clerk, I'll just read a portion of this. This Rett syndrome is a neurological disorder, and we have a 501c3 organization called Girl Power to Cure, Inc., and they are having a fundraiser for Rett syndrome on June 21st, 2014 at Fitz's Spare Keys in Elmhurst. So now I, Patty Spencer, City Clerk, in place of Steve Morley, will declare and proclaim June 21st, 2014 as Strikeout Rett Syndrome Day. So we'll strike out Rett Syndrome Day. Okay. Now, next on the agenda, I need to get a motion to, where did my paper go? To, I'm doing a lot of here. Yeah, to appoint Alderman Mulliner as the council's, who's the council's longest serving alderman, to preside over tonight's meeting as mayor pro tem. So someone want to move Bram, and a second by Wagner, and we can just do this by a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion carries. Mayor pro tem, here's your gavel.
Just kidding.
Good evening. Item 3 is written communication. Does anyone have any written communication they'd like to present to the clerk this evening? Seeing none, we'll go on to public forum. This is the point in the agenda where the public has an opportunity to speak to the city council. 3 minutes is our time limit. At the end of approximately the end of 3 minutes, I'll warn you ahead of time, but 3 minutes is the appropriate amount of time. City clerk, do we have anyone who signed up?
Yes, we do. We'll start with Terrence Lean, excuse me, sir, 707 South Hillside.
Good evening. The last time I was here, I had 5 items on my list, so today I only have 2. The first one, and let me preface it, it's related to the recent reporting on the electricity aggregation, either the reporting or not the reporting. And I have no criticism or no debate on the rate that was arrived at. What my comments, though, are that at least what I saw in the local press was a big headline that you might save $20 or $30 over the year. And it looked like they were comparing that to the summer rate for ComEd, which of course is their highest rate. Beyond that, and maybe I missed it in the fine print, they didn't note that the actual electricity rate is going up by, in my case, 55.4%. And in doing a little quick analysis using last year's usage, that represents over $260 in increased costs for electricity. Again, it's not a criticism of the City Council. I think I've read enough that I understand that these rates have gone up. I certainly don't understand why they've gone up 55%, but apparently they're pretty effective at proving that they need that. The additional item is that I believe the State Interstate Commerce Commission has granted ComEd an increase to, based on the implementation of their smart grid. It's sort of like we're going to give you more money so you can save money. Again, I don't understand all of that either. I'll get to the final item. Within our tax bill or our utility bill, there's, I guess, what I call the stealth tax, the municipal utility tax. And if I calculated it out, it looks like it's about 5.4%. I would seriously ask the City Council, I'll start with my aldermen, Wagner and Mulliner, to consider reducing the percentage of that utility tax, because it looks like to me the city will enjoy a rather nice windfall without any change in that. Item 2, I think you've had some discussions about the expected results from the Hahn Street development. I think Alderman Gutenkopf mentioned Arlington Heights. I've been out there, and I'm always impressed with the one building that looks like a battleship next to 30-foot yachts. It must be 15, 16 stories and a whole block. So I wouldn't want to compare us to Arlington Heights. I think a more appropriate comparison might be to look at Downers Grove, where they've enjoyed some rather favorable PR in the last few months. Their size is maybe more approximately the same as Elmhurst. They have a hospital. They have a pretty interesting downtown. So if you're going to make comparisons, I'd suggest you take a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Claude Pagash, 566 West Gladys.
Claude Pagash, 566 West Gladys. To back up the gentleman, it's rather interesting. I got the aggregate letter and I got the water bill at the same time. With the right hand, give it, the left hand, take it. I don't know what was the intent, but seems like I'm paying a great deal more than I'm getting back. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I understand we got a contract coming up for your partners on this parking garage. Had an opportunity to kind of read part of it. I worked in that business for a long time, and I'm going to tell you right now, these guys are going to clip this town for every nickel it's got. And the one thing I haven't got to yet, a couple things. One, their percentage on change orders, and omissions and errors in the drawings. Now, if these guys are our partners, I really don't need any enemies. I really don't. And then we got this thing up here about water mains. Over the years, I've heard this council allocate money for water mains until I was blue in the face. Overcharge me for water, and then they hire a consultant, and he says the water system in this town leaks like a sieve. So either you guys are hiring the wrong contractors, or the money isn't being spent on water mains. You guys got to decide. You really do. Yes, indeedy, this gets better. Oh yeah, Fenzel's back. This must be 6 months. I guess they need their contract renewed. They're here every 6 months. We don't know what they do. They don't give a report, but they get paid. It's amazing. I wonder if I can have a job like that. Oh yeah, and there's a few other people on here looking for some handouts. I want to conclude by saying something, and I'm being as honest as I can. Every time you guys give a handout, I hear we got a AAA rating. But you keep on giving money away. The state of Illinois used to have a AAA rating. Elmhurst Hospital had a AAA rating. None of those characters are left there. They don't even own the hospital anymore. City of Detroit had a AAA rating. The federal government one time had a AAA rating. You can slowly convince yourself you got endless funds in this town. You don't. You just can't keep on chipping away at the resident. And if you think those 200 people that just moved in are going to be singing your praises next year when they get their taxes, after you come up with a new budget and start handing out more of these millions, you're fooling yourself. I'm tired of paying. I wish you guys would get with developers that came to this town with money instead of taking it out of the treasury and then you raising my taxes.
Thank you.
Tamara Brenner, 137 North Caroline Avenue.
Tamara Brenner, 137 North Caroline. There's a ton of items on tonight's agenda. I am only going to address 3 of them. First of all, during the announcement section of the agenda at the June 2nd council meeting last time, Mr. Leader used a platform available only to elected officials to promote and endorse an upcoming private religious event. The event description on the church website makes clear that any secular component is purely incidental, so I cannot fathom what legitimate government interest there is in this event to justify its advertisement during a government meeting. Elected officials should not be promoting and/or endorsing religious events from the dais. To do so seems to me to be an entanglement of government and religion, which goes against the oath of office all of you took to uphold both the federal and state constitutions. Secondly, speaking of announcements, I see that there will be 2 open houses coming up on the next 2 Monday nights, during which the public is invited to give its opinion on the design of the Addison Garage. And let me get this straight. Public input is now welcome and important when it comes to choosing things like what color brick is going to be used in the construction of a building that hundreds of people asked you not to build. Why wasn't public input welcome and important to the consequential decisions? In fact, public input was discarded without consideration during the entire public hearing process. Acting Mayor Mulliner and Council, I give my dog a few table scraps after I'm done with dinner, and that's what this reminds me of. The difference is the dog doesn't realize that she's getting the short end of the stick. I do. Lastly, I see that the rules are to be suspended tonight, not once or twice, but 3 times, to push through some very rather large agenda items. The water main improvement, $680,000, with suspension of the rules rolled into the consent agenda. There's the whole matter of the new housing subdivision and various zoning changes to go up on the old Berteau Hospital campus. That's quite a complex issue. And then there's the contract for construction management of the Addison Garage. That was discussed just once in committee last week. It involves $14.5 million on top of over $5 million that's already been spent. The breakdown of the $14.5 million is still unclear. Did I miss anything? And that the council is comfortable pushing things forward like this, suspending the rules, after limited committee discussions and no full council debate is yet another indication that most real decision-making gets done ahead of time outside of general public view. You threw the zoning code out the window some time ago now. You don't enforce the sign ordinance, among other things. So why not repeatedly suspend the rules here at City Council? Acting Mayor Mulliner and Council, perhaps fines all, inexplicably being renewed for yet another 6 months tonight, and/or the new marketing director can come up with a slogan as to why people should have trust in a government that demonstrates disdain for the public and routinely refuses to follow its own rules.
Thank you.
Andrea Alvarez, 182 North York.
Andrea Alvarez, Citizen Advocacy Center, 182 North York, Elmhurst. I'm here tonight to thank you for the notice on the City of Elmhurst website about the Addison redevelopment project. As we move into the design stage of this key redevelopment project, I'm glad to see that Mayor Morley is encouraging all interested parties to attend one or both of these open house events, and that now community input is not only welcome, but important. Thank you for being responsive. As you may recall, my April 21st public comment encouraged you to listen to citizens' voices and implement policies to encourage engagement, especially around controversial issues like the Addison Garage project. And now that the height of the building is decided and the design phase of the project is here, we can have a discussion with public input about the most important part, the design. Thank you for being responsive. I'd like to walk you through a brief history of the times public input should have occurred and didn't. Public input would have been helpful at any point during the prior two times when the Attorney General ruled that the city was not in compliance with the Open Meetings Act and FOIA on this project with respect to the use of the property and financial information. Let's get to the next stage where public input was shown to be so important to the city. In January of this year, heeding public criticism that the city should have been the applicant from the start, the city presented a reworked application to the Zoning and Planning Commission. The city presented lengthy and uninterrupted testimony. At a continuation of the meeting, several citizens and business interests testified. Citizen testimony was challenged by commissioners, general disarray occurred, and comments and behavior of some commissioners was intimidating. It is CAC's belief that such treatment of those who testified created a generally chilly environment where it was unknown to people how they would be treated if they spoke. It was great the issue was resolved at the following meeting and speech was allowed, but certainly a tone was set to discourage participation. At the commission deliberation, the city presented new information that was not publicly available to citizens prior to the meeting. No citizens were allowed to review and respond to this information. The deliberation included a discussion of business interests, financial concerns, the future intention of the city council, and other pending projects. And that's why I'm so happy this evening that public input is finally welcome and important. Again, thank you for encouraging all interested parties to attend the open house events about this controversial project. I urge you to bring the same enthusiasm for public participation to all phases of future projects, and we look forward to that invite for public participation prior to what color of the building should be, rather, and then if the building should be built.
Amy Leonard, 182 North York.
Good evening. My name is Amy Leonard. I am a legal intern at Citizen Advocacy Center at 182 North York. I have been researching the First Amendment and separation of church and state, and based upon my research and my observation of the June 2nd council meeting, I would like to make a personal recommendation. During the announcement section of June 2nd, Alderman Leader made an announcement about an event to be held at the Faith Evangelical United Methodist Church. While the intent of Alderman Leader's announcement seemed to promote the good works within the city of Elmhurst, it also seemed to mask a religious message that attendance at this event may have the eventual result of saving one's soul. A recent decision by the Supreme Court has blurred the lines of what is explicitly prohibited or accepted by the Constitution, and Alderman Leader's comments fall within those blurred lines. However, the issue can be easily resolved by making this type of announcement during public comment section of the meeting. The Elmhurst public comment policy states that during public forum, any member of the public may address the council on any subject. The council members can take full advantage of public comment. I urge members of the City Council to use the public forum for announcements unrelated to official city business. Further, delivering announcements during the public comment period can serve as an example to the community that public participation is valuable, welcomed, and encouraged by City Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Rogers, Elmhurst Park District, 375 West First Street.
Good evening, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. As indicated, I'm speaking this evening on behalf of the Park Board and Park District regarding the proposed Paragon development, and just have three quick issues I would like to ask the council to consider as you deliberate this issue. First, given that the proposed fitness center and accompanying retail center will be considerably smaller than the existing structure on the site, will this development actually generate a significant increase in the EAV of the site? And then over time, will that lead to growth in the increment? Secondly, is this development the highest and best use of this crucial TIF property, given that the proposed health club facility will generate minimal sales tax as little tangible personal property will be sold. And third, will developing this prime location on York Road as proposed devalue and to an extent landlock the two properties to the west, which if combined with the proposed site would offer a much larger 12-acre opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last person to sign in, Michael Cremery, 570 West Crockett Avenue.
Michael Cremery, 570 West Crockett. On June 13th, the City of Elmhurst website posted a meeting notice for the community open house, and I'm just going to read a couple of excerpts from that. As this project moves into the final architectural design, Mayor Stephen M. Morley invites all Elmhurst residents and interested parties to attend a community open house event to view potential architectural designs and express their thoughts on the various design options. There will be 2 community open houses focused on the architectural design of the Addison redevelopment project. Each open house will include a short presentation explaining the different design alternatives, followed by an opportunity for attendees to express their preferences and opinions on each proposal. Mayor Morley encourages all interested parties to attend one or both of these open house events. Community input is not only welcome, but important as we move into the design stage of this key redevelopment project in the heart of our downtown city center. End of the quote there. So some of the key words: invites all, encourages, expresses preferences and opinions, welcome and important. I'm troubled by how this could be true when on multiple occasions Elmhurst residents have submitted written communication to the City Council, specifically on 4/7 and 4/21 in regard to the parking deck. The documents were initially posted on board docs, but then later removed without any response as to why they were removed. I would appreciate a response as to why those documents have been removed. I still have yet to get a response.
Thank you. That being the last person on the list, is there anyone who did not have an opportunity to sign in who would like to speak this evening at public forum? Seeing none, we'll move on to announcements. Is there any announcements this evening? Alderman Wagner?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make it known in honor of the Bike to Work Week. Chairman Cronin will be arriving at the gazebo at Spring Road at 7 a.m. and we'll be biking to, I guess, the county grounds. He encourages all that would like to bike that far to attend. 7 a.m. at the gazebo. Thank you. What day?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Alderman Dunn?
Thank you. Yeah, next Thursday, there will be a community blood drive at the Elmhurst Public Library. Thursday, the 26th of June, from 12 noon through 6 p.m., again at the Elmhurst Public Library. There will be plenty of snacks. Life Source, who is one of the leading blood donor entities in the area, will be managing that, and it's suggested that you make an appointment, but of course walk-ins are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Seeing none, let's move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that someone would like to vote against or has questions about that we'd like to pull? Alderman Gutenkopf?
6.14.
6.14. Alderman Bram?
That was my item as well.
Any others? Seeing none, I ask for a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented, minus 6.14. Alderman York, a second by Alderman Deuter. Roll call.
York.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Hipskin.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Conquist.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. That item passes. We'll return to item 6.14. The Feinsaal report, could we just read the recommendation?
Yes. It is therefore the recommendation of the public, oh, wait a second, that's not it. What happened? I just
It's the Feinsaal.
It's right here. Thank you, City Manager. It is therefore the recommendation of the Development, Planning, and Zoning Committee that the City Council authorize the city attorney to prepare the proper documents from the formal City Council approval of Feinsaal Community Marketing Firm to continue to provide consulting services for the City of Elmhurst for a 6-month period. Signed by Scott M. Levin, Chairman, Danny Polumsky, Vice Chairman, Mark A. Mulliner, 7th Ward Alderman.
I need a motion and a second. Moved by Alderman Levin, seconded by Alderman Plumsky. Alderman Levin, your report.
Thank you. As you may recall, the Feinsaal contract has been up before. There was a certain point where we were debating whether to extend the contract for a term of 12 months or 6 months, and it was extended for 6, I believe, to keep a closer eye on that process. It was extended again because a key component of Feinsaal's continued services, the need for it or not, it depends on what we're doing with our new marketing plan and a communications director. That process to hire the new communications director has been extended. We had a candidate who took another job. We reopened it. We've now hired someone. I think it was announced last week. And so at this point, the committee's feeling was that extending it 6 months to December 31st will both tie it into the budget, and secondly, it will allow for the new communications director to get into the position so that we can then evaluate how that key position impacts our needs for Feinsaal. So we did not ask them to come in and make another presentation, and I don't think we really wanted them to do that at this time, but that is the reason for extending the contract.
Thank you. Questions? Alderman Gutenkopf?
Thank you. So we've hired the communication manager. My first question is, what is that person's start date with the city?
Mr. Leahy starts July 7th.
July 7th, so just in a couple of weeks. Can I have a follow-up on that?
Yes.
Mr. City Manager, how long do you expect it will take this person to kind of get their feet wet working for the city?
Well, the first task that this Mr. Leahy will be working on is a communications plan, short-term and long-term. I anticipate a few months for that, get to know the community and get to put that in place.
And will that communications plan be the primary responsibility of this person? How do you see the communications manager's initial job tasks complementing or duplicating or not at all related to the work that the Feinsaal company is doing for the city?
The primary task of the position, not necessarily the person, was communications. That was the primary goal in bringing this person in. I guess the secondary goal was then the marketing portion and the economic development to kind of bring them into the fold on that. So as we move through this and with that 6-month contract extension, we'll be working with Feinsaal Group, find out what role each of them can play. If you recall, in some budget discussions, it may not have been the past year, but perhaps the year before, there was discussion that perhaps the Feinsaal Group can be working on other tasks than what they're doing right now that they're not able to get to because of the limited time that they have. So we'll be assessing that along with the role that the communications and marketing person plays.
Follow-up?
Can you?
Okay. Alderman Plumsky?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I agree with Alderman Levin, Chairman Levin, and I just want to elaborate a little bit on if Feinsaal will be doing other work. I think that once we have the essential tasks for the communications manager. I think that we will be cutting back on what Feinzall is covering, and I would think that if there are specific other duties that we would be discussing in our committee, the possibility of going out for RFP. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Brand?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Back when we discussed this for the previous extension of Feinzall Community Marketing, a lot of my colleagues on the dais here's argument was, well, we don't have the marketing communication coordinator, and I emphasize that because it was listed as a coordinator position, not a manager position. Marketing communication coordinator position filled. As the report states, this proposed extension is suggesting that there is a need for some overlap between Feinzall and the marketing communications coordinator position. I know in the private sector, as well as from what I've witnessed over my 13 tenure here on the dais in the public sector, a 6-month overlap is utterly generous, to say it nicely. There is no reason why we would need a 6-month overlap between two positions. It was argued, or may I say discussed, again, that the need for the marketing communications manager, once on board, would then result into either a reduction in Feinzall, a change in that role, or total elimination of that role. If we as a city cannot determine within 1 month, let alone 2 months, on what the overlaps or the changes should be, then either the individual who's filling this new role is not fit to fill the new role, or we have bigger issues here within City Hall to determine on what roles should go to what individual. When we advertise for this position, we advertise with specific tasks. There isn't any learning curve here. On day one, whoever fills this role should be able to take off running on day one. To be a good employer, I would say a 2 to 4 week overlap would be ideal. But a 6-month overlap is not necessary. You don't see that in anywhere in the private sector, let alone in the public sector. In regards to the two positions, one of which, the Feinzall role, the role that Feinzall is filling today is essentially a part-time role. We have made an offer for the marketing communications coordinator position as a full-time role. I don't see on why there's a need. I don't even know if the current role that Feinzall's filling is in the budget for all of 2014, but I think that's here nor there. I think what would be appropriate for the city of Elmhurst to do is to extend the Feinzall contract at a more, what I deem to be a more appropriate extension, which would be a 2-month extension. So at this time, I would like to make a motion to amend this report to change this from a 6-month extension as a compromise to a 2-month extension. That way, that will make sure that anything that we do not know today is fulfilled with a very, very sufficient overlap between the two roles.
Do I hear a second? Seconded by Alderman Gutenkopf. Any discussion on the amendment? Alderman Gutenkopf?
I agree that a 6-month extension of the existing contract maintains the status quo with Feinzall Community Marketing. If we're really sincere that we've hired a communications manager who's going to be working on a communications plan, we're looking at the wrong consultant contract, we should be looking at Mr. Bartels's contract, because Mr. Bartels has been doing communications for us. And B, we should have a report out of the committee that discusses what the new tasks Fines All Community Marketing will be doing with a new contract, rather than extension of this contract. And that report and this contract should talk about what those proposed new tasks are. All we're doing is maintaining the status quo. 6 months ago, this wasn't our conversation. I got a copy of the invoices from Fines All for the previous month. We paid them $3,761.25 to have conversations with a handful of businesses. There's been an awful lot of conversation within the community about business retention, and one of the key things that we keep talking about as the city council of how that important that isn't even among the tasks that they've listed that we paid them for. Why isn't this part of the conversation about what their new tasks are going to be? We talked about having Fines All potentially stay on as a contractor for the city to deal with some of these new issues. It was going to free them up to do new things. Well, if the communications manager is going to be working on a marketing plan, a communications plan is not a marketing plan. A communications plan is who do we send press releases to and about what, and overall what departments need them and things like that. That's communications. So I don't see these two things as related. The report clearly didn't clearly spell this out. I can't support a 6-month extension of this. If we need 2 months to figure out what the difference is between what these people do, fine. And I'll support a 2-month extension, but I can't possibly support 6 months on this contract.
Thank you. Any other comments? Alderman Levin?
Well, I respectfully disagree that someone comes into a new job, and I think of, in this case, of what knowledge of the community of Elmhurst, the businesses and the roles that are being played. I just disagree. I don't think it's a 2-month transition, particularly since the first month the person won't be here. This Fines All contract can be terminated earlier if there's a determination that we don't want to use those services anymore. If that's what the city manager finds, then we have that ability to do that at any time. I just, I don't think we're going to dictate from this dais how we're going to run the staff. Apparently, there's a feeling that the communication plan should go first, that's important. And if that does go first, it means that some of the marketing aspects might take a couple of months longer. The committee looked at it. In our opinion, 6 months is the appropriate amount of time. If it gets done faster, that's fine. And there's no guarantee that we are going to terminate it. We're going to look at it. We're going to see what happens when the communications director gets in there and see what happens. I will not support that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, we're going to call a roll call on the amendment, changing from 6 months to 2 months. City Clerk?
Graham.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Deuter.
No.
Dunn.
No.
Leader.
No.
Volumsky.
No.
Hipskin.
No.
York.
No.
Levin.
No.
Healy.
No.
Onquist.
No.
Kennedy.
No.
Olener.
No.
Wagner.
No.
2 ayes and 12 nays.
2 ayes, 12 nays. The amendment fails. We're back to the report on the table. Any follow-up on that? Alderman Gutenkopf.
Yes, I've got Mr. Bartel's contract in front of me, and if our primary concern with this new position, which is not a direct, it's been elevated from coordinator to manager to director all tonight. If the communications manager position is really going to deal with the marketing plan, I still don't understand why we're not looking at Mr. Bartel's contract.
This
because-
evening on the agenda is the Fines All contract, not Bartel's contract. I'm sorry.
I'll
That's
get
what
to
we're
the
under
point.
discussion
So
with.
my point is that these two things are totally separate and irrelevant, and that this is the wrong contract for us to be discussing. I can't support an extension of this contract because I don't believe that the committee has made their case.
Thank you.
Alderman Graham?
To add to that, I guess, I did hear City Manager Grabowski state a little bit about his, I guess, feel for the new position, the new role, the communications coordinator position to handle the strategic plan for the first few months. I guess I would look to the committee to explain to me why 6 months is appropriate, since I don't really see much in the committee report that states why 6 months is the magic time frame. Why isn't it anywhere from 2 to 5 months?
Alderman Levin already addressed that when he commented about the fact that this contract can be canceled at any time, and he also talked about the need.
That's not addressing it, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, it is.
Doesn't answer the question.
Doesn't answer the question, Mr. Mayor.
You want to follow up again?
Well, I think I pointed out, first of all, that it might be a 5-month extension because the individual who takes the position won't be here in the first month. Secondly, that's the committee's opinion, that it could take 6 months if we're doing the marketing plan first, and that's what we believe will take for the person to get into the job and get comfortable, and then for the committee to come back and evaluate what we should do. Just because there are a few people, such as a couple aldermen and others, who feel that fines all should be in the crosshairs every time we have this contract come up, doesn't mean that we're not doing our job. We, as a committee, felt that's the appropriate amount of time. I do not agree that 2 months is the right amount of time. What justification do you have except your experience? I brought my experience to bear on it. 6 months seems like the appropriate amount of time.
Thank you. Any follow-up? Alderman Graham.
So I guess that will remain unanswered. I was looking for specific details. Yes, I'm speaking from my experience. I am not claiming, as was just insinuated, that the committee did not do their homework. I am not part of that committee. I'm not part of that discussion. So I was looking for more details other than a broad stroke of what is felt that is needed. So I didn't appreciate the accusation that I am accusing the committee of not doing their homework on this issue. And I don't appreciate the accusation that 2 aldermen, as was just stated, continue to...
Stay on task, please.
Mr. Mayor, let's stay consistent. He made an accusation. I'm following up on the accusation. So like I was saying, was that there is nothing, and I will speak on my behalf only, that I am targeting this business at all. What I am trying to do is make sure we're spending the taxpayers' money wisely. And a 6-month extension, I don't deem as wisely. If there were some details either in the report or stated here on the dais tonight to justify it, I would vote yes to a 6-month extension. And that is why I had the follow-up question, so I could understand maybe on why a 6-month extension is appropriate here. So the only thing I have to go on is my experience, and my experience is it is not appropriate.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none on the original report, let's do a roll call.
Levin.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Graham.
No.
Hipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Onquist.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
No.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
12 ayes, 2 nays.
12 ayes, 2 nays. That report passes. On the committee reports, committee report on the Addison Avenue mixed-use parking deck design and construction management agreement. Could you read the recommendation paragraph, please?
It is therefore the recommendation of the Public Works and Buildings Committee that the proposal for design and construction management services for construction of the Addison Avenue mixed-use parking deck as outlined in the attached proposal from Arco Murray National Construction Company, Inc. be accepted, and that the city attorney be authorized to draft the appropriate resolution and to suspend with the rules to allow the city council to approve the report and the resolution on the same night. signed by Jim Kennedy, Chairman, Chris Healy, Vice Chairman, Michael J. Brand, unsigned, and Diane Gutenkoff.
I need a motion. Alderman Kennedy, a second. Alderman Healy. Alderman Kennedy, your report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This report before us tonight is for the design and construction contract with Arco Murray for the design and build of the Addison parking deck. We have extensive experience with the Arco Murray company. They were the individuals who did the large project that was very successful. And as a basis of comparison, this report talks about the construction of Fire Station 2 that was done by another company. The basis of this report here talks about the design and construction costs, and really you got to look at the cost of the project as it relates to those other two. And so this is a $13,272,000 project. The design and construction management ends up being $522,000 or 3.6%. If you compare that to the other projects on Larcher and the fire station, those numbers are significantly higher from a percentage standpoint. But even so, the dollars really have a nice comparison, because on Addison, $13 million project, if you added up Larcher and the fire station, that's just short of $10 million, and that construction cost together is higher than what we're talking about on Addison. So we're getting a fair deal on that side of things. Related to the overhead and profit, that side again, we are the same as we were on Larch at 3.8%, and if you compare that to the fire station, it was at 4.1%. So again, we're getting a fair deal. We want to move forward with this now because of timing, and we had a very good conversation in committee about this. By moving forward with this now and suspending the rules, this gives us a chance to get moving on the design portion of it. Certainly anything that comes about from the open houses and anything there can certainly be handled outside of this, but we can get going here and be able to break ground before the snow flies here by the end of the year. So that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, I'd like to hear them.
Thank you. Any questions concerning the agreement? Alderman Gutenkoff?
Well, I just wanted to state that I did not sign the report intentionally. I don't think we have to rush the hurry up so that we're suspending the rules to eliminate some public comment, but primarily it's because I don't believe in the project and don't think we should be building this building.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Alderman Hipskin?
Comment for the committee. Thank you for your work. I know it was a lot of work, and I know the amount of time that you guys put in, because I've talked to a few of you on the committee, and I do appreciate all the hard work and effort that was put forward on this.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Onquist.
Aye.
Mullenur.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkoff.
No.
Shorter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
Polumsky.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Hipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
13 ayes, 1 nays.
13 ayes, 1 nay. That report passes. Item 7.2, we're going to withdraw from the agenda this evening because it's not necessary, because we passed 7.1. 7.2 was just to do an extension if this 7.1 had not passed. At the same time, we'll be removing 10.2 for the same reason. On to report 7.3. I would ask Alderman York to comment on this before we begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to remove this from the agenda to bring it back to the committee for further discussion and review.
Thank you. As the chairman, you have the right to do that. This report then will be pulled back to committee. 7.4, School District and Park District Subdivision Impact Fees. Please read the recommendation and the...
Yes. It is therefore the recommendation of the Finance, Council Affairs, and Administrative Services Committee that the City Council direct city staff and city attorney to include the school district and park district subdivision impact fees of $8,400 and $1,700 respectively in the Nitty subdivision agreement, and that the base methodology and formulas utilized be considered when updating the fees in the subdivision ordinance for allowing all dwelling types. Signed by Kevin L. York, Chairman, Bob Dunn, Vice Chairman, Stephen W. Hipskin, and Marty Dorder.
I need a motion. Alderman York, Alderman Dunn with the second. Alderman York?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to put a special thanks out to the committee, city staff, and the city attorney for all their diligence and hard work on this rather difficult issue. I'm going to start my report tonight by letting Assistant City Attorney Nick Pepper cite for everyone here and everyone who may be viewing this meeting the same things he did for this committee relative to the school impact fees. First and foremost is that impact fees are not required by Illinois law. Similar to TIF revenue sharing agreements the city has with D205, the city of Elmhurst goes out of its way to recognize and reward D205 for the positive contribution an outstanding school district has on EAVs of property here in Elmhurst. So I'd like to have Nick say a few words about impact fees, specifically about the purpose of an impact fee and the methodology that is used to arrive at a defendable impact fee.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Almar. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. First of all, as Alderman York stated, Illinois municipalities are not required to establish school district and/or park district impact fees that may be associated with new subdivisions. However, should a municipality undertake implementing an impact fee, the well-settled, what we call Naperville case, provides a court-tested guidance that a municipality may use in order to impose an impact fee in lieu of land dedication that are specifically and uniquely attributable to the proposed subdivision development. Pursuant to Illinois case law, this defines that impact fees, and there's some confusion over this, are not for operational costs associated with running a school to serve the new students generated by that subdivision, nor does it mean that impact fees are intended or appropriate to cover what we might call the lag fee in between the running of the time of the development and the impact of the students on a school district. Impact fees are to be assessed only for the cost of acquiring land, school, building facilities, and infrastructure that are uniquely and attributable to students in the subdivision. As a result, there's a three-variable formula to create what that impact would be. First, it's how many students are to be generated by the subdivision, times the land needed to serve those students, times the value of that land. Illinois municipalities rely on a variety of statistical and demographic studies and input from developers and districts in order to address those figures and work through a formula that best suits the municipality. We guided the Finance Committee with the Naperville formula to help them through that process and that methodology. They then spent a lot of time and a lot of effort to understand how that worked and how those numbers impact the fee that's before you tonight. And I think have followed what we consider to be, as I said earlier, the court-tested methodology in this manner, and to make the recommendation of the report that's before you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman York?
Thank you. The report before us clearly points out that an enforceable impact fee, as Nick said, is based on the amount of land required for the education of a child. The impact fee is not an operating fee. Property taxes paid to D205 is what funds the cost of educating students. It is with this purpose at top of mind that the committee worked with purpose and diligence, with diligence being the degree of care and caution required by the circumstances to arrive at an answer that was justifiable and, unfortunately so, also defendable in a court of law, to arrive at the best outcome for all the parties involved. It should be noted that the city encouraged that negotiation between the two most affected parties take place in order to reach an agreement on a fee that we could then simply insert in the development agreement. City attorneys again suggested to D205 that they directly participate in talks with the developer, but it did not happen. Because it did not happen, the city was put in the position of having to go through the exercise of adapting the defendable formula, and placing the values for all of those formula variables. As the report clearly states, we evaluated the estimate of students that would be generated by the development, what position in school, meaning elementary, middle, or high school, they would likely be entering upon occupancy of dwellings, and an estimate of the number of acres needed for the new students and an estimated cost per acre of land. We worked pretty exclusively with a recently completed demography report that was commissioned by and presented to D205 to arrive at the number of students that would be generated by the development. The demographer himself briefed the school board at one of their recent meetings that likely 56 students would come out of this development. The committee agreed to use 60 as our number, and furthermore, there was no consideration given one way or the other to the fact that some people, some families like to have their children educated at private schools. The demography report also indicated that most children from this type of development, with the value of homes that we're talking about here, would likely impact grades 5 through 8 most heavily, but we slotted the kids pretty evenly in various school types. When determining the amount of land required to educate a child, the committee used the actual highest acreage per school type of the existing elementary and middle schools, and moved the actual land value from the high school of just over 36 acres to 45 acres for our calculation to allow for the off-site multi-purpose fields that exist throughout the district. Every one of these variables was increased justifiably to fit Elmhurst, to do this the Elmhurst way. Finally, we all agreed on a land value of $400,000 per acre based on the Olteen property appraisal and land values used by other DuPage County municipalities in their ordinances for these same types of impact fees. The average ordinance value per acre is just under $215,000 as reported by 9 DuPage municipalities, and the range is from $115,000 per acre in Downers Grove to a little over $318,000 per acre in Naperville. Pure examples, Wheaton has a land value of $150,000 in their ordinance, and Glen Ellen has no ordinance, as they are not required by law. It was this methodology and these inputs with which we arrived at the recommended impact fee for a house in the new subdivision of $8,400 for the school district. This number is justifiable, and we would certainly believe that it is enforceable in a court of law should it ever be challenged. Could a different amount for an impact fee have been arrived through at alternative methods outside of this committee and this council? Do I personally wish it could have been more? Are there those out there who wish it could have been less? These are very interesting, thought-provoking questions that I suppose will remain out there. We did what we had to as a committee, and I ask for everyone's support of this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Alderman Haley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If someone for the committee or Chairman York could expand on his comment about encouraging the two most affected parties to talk to each other, I'm paraphrasing there. Am I to assume that that was the school district and NITI, or is that the school district and Park District to get involved directly in conversations? And apparently that didn't happen. Why didn't that happen?
Alderman York?
I will
defer that to
ask the city manager.
Thank you.
Speak on that.
If I can just correct one thing that you said, it was only the school district, it was not the Park District.
Okay, so that was my question is, so when Chairman York said two most directly related entities, who were those two?
NITI and the school district.
Thank you. Okay, and then the follow-up then is, why not?
Well, what I can tell you is that some months ago, I asked the city attorney to contact the developer's attorney and ask them to get in touch with the school district's attorney to talk about this. As I understand it, the developer's attorney never received a phone call back, a return phone call. I can't speak to why their attorney didn't return the call. I did talk to the superintendent and asked him if they were going to be involved in the discussion, and he said at the board's direction they were not going to be involved in the discussion.
Follow-up?
Thank you. So at the board's discretion, they didn't want to be involved. Do we know why they didn't want to be involved? Was that communicated at any level?
Not directly to me. I understand there was some conversation at a school board meeting, and I don't have the date of that meeting. I did watch the meeting, and the discussion that took place was that this is a city responsibility to determine the amount.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Plumsky?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just would like some clarification on why those numbers could be different. So is it that our legal vulnerability lies in imposing a fee on a private property owner, and I understand we have to be able to back it up and use these court-tested methods, but if the other two parties were to negotiate, that those are not required?
Yeah, I think the question you're asking is, if say for example, the developer and the school district had struck an agreement, could that be inserted in our development agreement? And I believe the answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
I've been told the answer to that
Yes,
question is yes.
the answer is yes.
Unequivocally.
Did it answer your question?
Thank you.
Alderman Braham?
Thank you. As I read through the report, and I do give kudos to the committee to tackling this difficult issue, I know it hasn't been revisited in many a years. And that brings me to two questions, one of which, is there some type of increment that will be utilized on a yearly basis, so we're not revisiting it many a years later? And two, I assume this is a general subdivision impact fee and not specific, even though it uses the Nitty development as an example. I'm assuming this is a general subdivision impact fee for all of City of Elmhurst.
Alderman York?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to your question, Mr. Alderman, what we're discussing in our report tonight with the $8,400 impact fee and the $1,700 fee for the schools and parks respectively those numbers will be inserted into the development agreement. The methodology and the formula will be brought back to committee because we need to review it and apply it to different dwelling types. For example, when we develop the property just north of here, we'll need to have a rate for apartments, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments and townhouses and all these types of things. So this is specifically for the subdivision agreement tonight, and in the future it'll come back to committee to review other dwelling types, as well as perhaps some sort of a way, as you suggest, of applying some reported variable that we could use to look at it year after year.
And I guess for the city attorney, there's no legal concerns with applying something specifically for this subdivision compared to any subdivision within the city of Elmhurst?
Yes, we have no concern with that. The process we've worked with the developer is to create a methodology for this agreement, which they're going to execute and enter into the city. We're comfortable with the methodology and the numbers used. I think, as you heard, the committee used some very conservative figures. The next step, as Alderman York stated, will be then to proceed with a more defined structure that goes in the code.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none? Oh, Alderman Plumsky, I'm
One
sorry.
more quick one. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Well, despite threatening to send my kids to military school today, I highly value District 205 schools, and I want to thank the committee and staff. I know there's been a lot of discussion on this, so thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none? Oh, Alderman Dunn.
Just one more. Just to compare where we are now versus the previous impact fee, the school district impact fee was on the order of $2,000 increased, and the park district approximately $500. The overall result of the impact fee, both combined park district and the schools, would be up over $550,000 to these entities. So we believe that's will be put to very good use, and it's reasonable with this development coming into town and the quite frankly the impact they will have on the city to contribute to that level. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Healy?
I'm sorry, one more question. I don't see it in the report, but I recall, I think it was in the press release, the new growth from the taxes, the EAV, estimated in the $800-something thousand range. Is that correct?
I did not bring the press, whatever's in the press release is the accurate number, and I'm sorry, Alderman Healy, I don't have that in front of me.
As I recall, it was upwards of $800,000.
Yes.
Is that a one-time thing, or is that, you know, they get the growth the first year, but then it's built into the AV from that point forward?
Yes, that is correct, and that's a great point. Obviously, we're taking a property that pays very little, if any, property taxes now, and we're currently also, just to kind of take it a step further, we're kind of researching what happens as the development is put on. There should be some minimal amount of real estate taxes generated almost immediately, but then as soon as the new properties come online and are occupied, then they'll each generate a dollar amount based on their EAV of money that the school district is going to need and very rightly deserves for the ongoing annual education of the children that may or may not come out of those houses. But again, keeping in mind that it's a community effort. There's many houses in town that pay the same equivalent rate of taxes but have no children in the system. There are houses that pay the same equivalent rate but have many children in the system. So it's kind of falls under the category of it takes a village. In this case, it takes a city. Thank you.
Just make sure that everybody knows the number, Alderman Healy, you were correct. It's 837,000, and the EAV is approximately 15,867,000.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, we'll try again.
Okay. York?
Aye.
Dunn?
Aye.
Leader?
Aye.
Palumski?
Aye.
Graham?
Aye.
Hipskin?
Aye.
Levin?
Aye.
Healy?
Aye.
Honquist?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Mulliner?
Aye.
Wagner?
Aye.
Gutenkopf?
Aye.
Deuter?
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. That report passes. On to item 7.5, case number 14P-03, Paragon Conditional Use.
It is therefore the Development, Planning, and Zoning Committee recommends that the City Council approve the applicant's request for conditional use associated variations, except that a variation to the number of parking spaces required for a physical fitness facility, and B, a variation to exceed the maximum total sign area on the zoning lot are granted solely to extend the LA Fitness is the tenant for the physical fitness facility. The city attorney is hereby directed to prepare the necessary documents for the city council approval. Signed by Scott M. Levin, Chairman, Danny Palumski, Vice Chairman, Mark A. Mulliner, 7th Ward Alderman.
I need a motion, Alderman Levin. Seconded by Alderman Palumski. Alderman Levin?
Thank you. This obviously came out of the Zoning and Planning Commission. There was one conditional use for a drive-through window, a drive-through facility, rather. There were 2 variations required for signage, one for a parking setback, and a last variation to decrease the number of parking spaces required. The committee, and there was some confusion here because part of the application is in front of all the Finance Committee looking at TIF incentive, and part of the zoning request was in front of DPZ for looking at the things I just mentioned. It appeared there might be a different tenant going in other than the LA Fitness, and the parking requirements and the signage in terms of going in excess of the maximum were both tied, both we believe at the commission level and certainly at the committee, to LA Fitness being the specific tenant for that property. So those 2 variations are tied to LA Fitness being the facility that's going to be there. Since this report came out, I saw that Finance was looking at, I was reading their materials, and I see that the Starbucks is not necessarily going to be the tenant, although it appears very probable, and I did speak with the developer a moment ago. I would like to further amend the report. I'm making a motion to amend it to state that, as it does in the last paragraph, where the variation for the parking spaces and the total signage is based on LA Fitness being the specific tenant, I want to amend so that the conditional use is tied to the Starbucks as being the specific tenant for that conditional use. The reason I do that is because I see in the Finance Committee there are things to talk about, such as a telecommunications store or other types of facilities that would not justify a drive-through facility. It was our understanding, at least my understanding at the committee level, it was only going to be a Starbucks, so I make that motion to tie the conditional use for the drive-through lanes solely to Starbucks being the tenant.
I have a second for that. Alderman Plumsky. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Levin.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Pipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Conquist.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mullenor.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. That amendment passes. The report now contains the addition of Starbucks being the required tenant for the other component of it. Any further discussion? Alderman Braham?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I do have some concerns over this development as a whole. I'm hoping that the committee may have already asked the developer on some of these questions. One of which being the variance for parking spaces for a fitness facility. I don't know if the development totally removed that 8,000 square feet of separate retail space, would that be maybe not equivalent to, but at least increase the number of parking spaces, and therefore it wouldn't be that great of a variance. And what I'm coming to is the Oak Brook LA Fitness actually has the retail built into the LA Fitness building itself. Was that considered in this proposal? If it has, why wasn't that pursued? And if it has not, why not? First question.
Alderman Levin?
Well, two things there, Alderman Braham. One is that the applicant provided evidence from other LA Fitnesses to substantiate the reduction from what we have in our ordinance to what their experience is, because different kinds of fitness facilities can have different parking requirements. For instance, if it's a facility that has all exercise equipment and has a lot of people in there, would have a different higher demand than, say, where there's a basketball court where there might only be 10 people in a very large space. And that's why we tied our variation approval to LA Fitness. Secondly, there is some additional shared space between the Starbucks, assuming that's what it's going to be, and the LA Fitness, so it was presented as a total package for the whole lot.
Whole development. Follow, Mr. Mayor? So the other developments that I've at least seen relatively close to where I work and live is Deer Park LA Fitness and Oak Brook. Oak Brook, as I said, built in the retail on the first floor of the LA Fitness building, and it doesn't seem like that was considered in this location. It seems that the developer is coming back, and I don't know if we need to suspend the rules to have the developer speak if they're here tonight, but it seems like the developer believes that the combined shared spaces, as Alderman Levin just stated, would be sufficient to support the retail side as well as the, I guess, the visitors of the fitness club being LA Fitness. I definitely have concern over the parking lot as a whole. I love the Mariano's next door. It's a great development. I'm glad to see it's there, and I'm sure all my residents are as well from what I've been told to date. There is some concerns, though, of that parking lot development in regards to weaving in and out, getting cars in and out. And the way, at least from what I've seen proposed here for this development, the drive-through pretty much lines up, or pretty close to lines up to the entrance to the development as a whole. There seems, that to me leads to potential vehicular conflicts right away. Did the committee discuss this with the developer at all, of making sure there's a clear delineation between the entrance and exit of the development as a whole and the drive-through? Because that is a huge vehicular concern from my standpoint.
I would honestly say I do not believe that the committee heard, I do not recall any testimony with regard to that kind of traffic problem. It was exclusively related to the number of spaces required. I don't know that they were required to come in with that kind of traffic study. I know there was, we heard there was evidence taken in terms of staging, and there was sufficient staging in terms of what the expected wait time would be in the Starbucks so that there would not be a backup problem.
Follow-up. So in regards to not being a backup, so I guess we're confident as a city that the queuing for the drive-through wouldn't cause conflicts of people entering and exit, i.e., no cars will be waiting on Industrial Drive to turn left to get into the development and therefore possibly also get into the drive-through for Starbucks. As we all know, Starbucks, if they happen to come to this development, is very popular, and I have very, very concern of, like I said, the vehicular possible collisions with the entrance, egress, ingress, as well as the drive-through all being lined up. And Mr. Mayor, I don't know if this is something that should be debated here on the dais, or if this is something that gets taken offline for city staff via developer. But all I can say is that by looking at the map itself, there's definitely, at least in my mind, great concern of those two lining up.
Response to that would be, I would say let's take that offline. We'll have the staff and the developer work through that issue. I agree with that you need to have that discussion.
Okay. So the last question would be, to the committee as a whole, would be the assumption, and please confirm or deny, is that the number of spots that we are allocating for this development would be equal to or greater than what has been seen in the Deer Park location and the Oak Brook, because I believe all LA Fitness locations are approximately the same square footage, about 45,000 square feet. So I assume that the requirements here, I don't remember, I want to say it was 3.6 or something. That number sticks in my head per square feet. But the number of spots are equivalent to those other developments?
Alderman Levin?
I can't say for sure that the Deer Park one was one of them. I know that the Oak Brook one was, and the one on Van Nuys Boulevard in LA, you're probably familiar with that one. Those were among the two that were presented. So this facility was deemed to be similar to those because they have a similar kind of layout. And I did want to also add there was a traffic study that was submitted with respect to this development. I just don't have the study, I have the reference to it.
Thank you. Any additional comments or questions? Alderman Polowski?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just wanted to just to point out that this report is an approval of the zoning requests, and it doesn't indicate an opinion on other decisions such as a TIF incentive or other related questions for this project. Thanks.
Thank you.
I know when this project first was announced, it was an LA Fitness property, and recently there was talk that more of the focus was on export. Now we're back to LA Fitness. Was there a discussion as to could both the facilities or floor plans be approved in this particular zoning request? We had the same discussion in finance that we had two potential properties that might come out of this. So I'm wondering why was it LA Fitness and why was it limited only to LA Fitness in this case?
Alderman Levin?
Well, the evidence that was taken by the commission only related to LA Fitness, and that was a concern that the committee had when it occurred to us that we might be talking about an export facility, because it didn't necessarily hold true that the export experience would be the same as the LA Fitness experience. I was told today by the applicant's attorney that export is off the table, that the efforts are solely directed at LA Fitness, and that we can be confident that that is going to be the health club facility that's going to go in there. And if I may just add one other point, I was able now to find the information, Alderman Bram, they have 10 vehicles can queue at a time at the Starbucks, so that was something that they did take into consideration for the ability to get in and being handled on the premises. So, should be a Starbucks. I'm told that's who's being targeted solely. LA Fitness is the other facility, so those are the two things that seem to be known from the applicant.
I'm going to just make a follow-up as a member of the committee on that if they come back and say that it's going to be X Fitness, they are going to have to come back through the whole process again, and we told them that. We made that very clear. Any follow-up? Alderman Bram?
Thank you. In regards to the retail section, we're highlighting Starbucks, but there's a total of, or proposed total of 8,000 square feet, which I would assume would be more than just a Starbucks? Are we talking this outlot building just being a Starbucks and Starbucks only?
Alderman
I just want to
Polomsky?
say, our focus was on the zoning requests and the information that was given to us from the LA Fitness, were the LA Fitness examples that had retail incorporated with the facility. So there are no requests specific to retail for this application, but the request was an LA Fitness that also housed retail within it.
I'm confused.
The bottom line on it, I just consulted with the city manager to make sure I knew that particular building could be just a Starbucks, or there is the potential to subdivide it if the developer determines that there's a need to subdivide it. So it's an 8,000 square foot building, and it can be used for multiple purposes. So Starbucks is going to be a requirement because we put that now into the report. But in addition to that, they can take a portion of it and rent it to another retailer.
Well, my point being, by asking that question or making sure that is clear, is because that impacts the number of parking spots per square footage for LA Fitness. If there's additional retail on top of Starbucks, and Starbucks has a drive-through, then some of those vehicles will be utilizing that retail, and that will shrink the numbers of the possible use for the LA Fitness facility. So I want to understand to make sure how this was calculated, the numbers per square feet or per square 1,000 feet was calculated for the LA Fitness. And I guess, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, that's clear that there's an outlet building, and that outlet building will be, at least according to the report that's been amended, utilized for at least Starbucks or maybe Starbucks plus additional retail. The only other thing I want to say is I definitely have concerns from hearing from another Elmhurst government body tonight about this particular development. I'm not sure if there is concern from the other government body that what was stated was that that government body does not feel that this is the highest and best use for this facility. I appreciate their opinion, but this is a private development, and I feel that we, being the city of Elmhurst, should move on the merits of the variances as well as the conditional use at hand. I know since this is in my ward, I've heard from many residents that they're excited about a development going in this location. They're happy to see the former Waverton Hotel be removed, I will say it nicely, and a very active and nice development going forward. I hope that this development replicates what I do see from an LA Fitness perspective in Oak Brook as well as Deer Park. Those are the two I'm most familiar with, not the one in LA. As from the signage perspective, as the parking perspective, and the layout. Moving forward, I think that we need, as a city, to make sure that any potential vehicular collisions are mitigated, if not eliminated altogether with that drive-through, because I'll just say one last time, the drawing showed some great concern of a possible queuing on Industrial Drive, and with Mariano's and a LA Fitness and Starbucks in a very close proximity, I would not want to see that to happen. So thank you, and I look forward to this moving forward.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Levin.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Lipscomb.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Conquist.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. That report passes. On to report 7.6, the subdivision land improvement agreement. Could you read the recommendation?
It is therefore the recommendation of the Development, Planning, and Zoning Committee that the City Council authorize the city attorney to prepare the proper documents for approval of the subdivision land improvement agreement between the City of Elmhurst and Nitty Development LLC, or its assigns. The committee further recommends suspending with the rules to allow of said ordinance approving the subdivision land improvement agreement between the City of Elmhurst and Nitty Development LLC, or its assigns, at the same meeting. Signed by Scott M. Levin, Chairman, Danny Palumski, Vice Chairman, Mark A. Mulliner, 7th Ward Alderman.
Looking for a motion? Alderman Levin. Alderman Palumski with a second. Alderman Levin.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is really taking, again, just as with the last topic, certain portions of what we're approving in this agreement were done by Public Works. For instance, and some of it came out of the commission. For instance, there's a requirement that the subdivision have stormwater facilities for each lot. As you heard from finance, there are impact fees of $8,400 per lot for School District 205 and $1,700 per lot for the school district. There was, as we presented in a report last week, there's a change in the setback so that the first 5 feet of the 25-foot front yard setback will be where the sidewalks will go. And this allows also for the demolition process to move forward. So we took all of those requirements and put them in, when I say we, the city attorney did, of course, and we reviewed it, and the committee made some changes. We increased the amount of insurance that we felt was not adequate, and this now allows the subdivision agreement to go forward so we can get the project into action.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Alderman Gutenkopf.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad we're moving forward with this project. I'm excited to see it happen. My concern is, as always, why we are doing the report and the ordinances on the same night. I think it is an unfortunate opportunity, a missed opportunity to allow for more public input on projects like this. So,
Thank you. Alderman Levin.
And I do appreciate that concern. I think it was weighed out to get, because the developer wants to get going before, while we are in the middle of summer. And one of the things that we noted is that a lot of the, not all of it, a lot of the information that goes into this subdivision agreement, for instance, the setbacks, the stormwater facilities, they were all things that have been on agendas before. We're just kind of grouping them now into the agreement.
Thank you. Any additional comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Levin.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Lipscomb.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Conquist.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mullenhour.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Reuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. That report passes. On to reports and recommendations by appointed and elected officials. I'll start with a report from the mayor. Mayor Morley has put out a press release stating that there'll be an open house on June 23rd and June 30th here at City Hall in these chambers to give public an opportunity to see the drawings, some of the options as far as the parking deck, and he invites the entire public to come to those meetings. Any other comments, City Manager?
No, everything I was going to announce has already been done.
Okay. Any other announcements? Alderman Graham.
You mean reports?
Yeah, no, yes, reports, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Just wanted to make sure I'm saying the right thing
Yes,
here.
you're saying the right thing.
2 items. One, City Manager, I believe a month ago, or maybe it was just 2 weeks ago, I'm bad with the time frame here. I brought up in regards to the concerns of the new flight patterns of O'Hare, due to at least what I was told of other suburbs' complaints due to the new east-west runways. Have we moved forward with discussing this with the powers that be to resume back, other than under abnormal weather circumstances, the previous takeoff flights as well as landing flights at O'Hare?
We've been trying to get to the right person to talk to them about that, but I would tell you, we haven't gotten to that person yet. Whoever they are, we're still trying to figure that one out. It's somebody at FAA, and we just haven't been able to talk to them yet, but we continue to try.
Okay, on that topic, I continue to receive complaints every time there is a takeoff, due to the fact that once the east-west runway, I believe the most northerly runway was put in, the flight patterns changed. And I believe the northern part of Elmhurst has suffered over multiple decades with landings and takeoffs, and the new configuration should move forward as initially planned. And that's the reason why the city of Elmhurst decided to stop contributing to the Suburban O'Hare Commission, decided to stop trying to fight the expansion of O'Hare, was due to the fact of what was told to us and other cities and villages, that the new flight pattern would be moving forward. So I would hate to see that reneged going forward today. The other thing is I just want to report on a concern, and it was in regards to the item of 7.4, the subdivision impact fee. I don't have an issue with that as a hand, but we were all notified of a press release prior to tonight's meeting. I would hate to create a precedent to send out a press release about an item that hasn't passed the full city council. I do acknowledge that in that press release it stated that it was still under discussion, but I would hope that as a city we don't have a precedence that kind of pins us as a council and as a city in a corner of releasing a press release on an open topic item and before it passed city council and becomes a permanent change. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional announcement reports?
It's not a report per se, but it's a question based on Alderman Bram's first point, specific to O'Hare. And I'm not as close to it as Alderman Bram, being from the south side of town. We're not as impacted, but there's been a lot of press out recently about O'Hare, the reconfiguration of the runways, and it actually showed Elmhurst was greatly improved based on the number of complaints that I think to the FAA, I think it was to the FAA, and that the new configuration of the runway actually already started, and that it actually showed Elmhurst as the #1 community for reductions in complaints. So is there still a concern, or what is, I don't know if this is appropriate, but I'm a little confused based on what Alderman Bram is saying and what I read in a paper. I don't know if it's appropriate to get clarification on that, or can it be addressed at a future meeting?
I would suggest that what we do is we ask city manager to bring back the reports from the FAA and find out for sure, so we have the exact data. so we're not guessing whether or not it's accurate or not. My assumption would be that there probably has been a reduction, but there's just recently been a change in the flight pattern, so those haven't been recorded in any of the new reports.
Thank you.
Any other reports or recommendations? Seeing none, we'll move on to ordinances.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman
I'm
Grubka.
wondering if we could get an update on the Han Street project, where we are right now.
Yes, we are reviewing a draft agreement with the city attorney to be able to get back to the Morningside Group and continue moving forward on that.
Okay, seeing no more reports, let's move on to ordinances. Item 9.1, could you read the title of the ordinance?
An ordinance to approving and authorizing the execution of the subdivision and land improvement agreement by and between Nitty Development LLC, the City of Elmhurst, for the Elmhurst Hospital Berteau Campus re-subdivision.
I need a motion. Alderman Levin, I need a second. Alderman York. Any discussion? Seeing none? Roll call.
Levin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Conquist.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
Polumsky.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Tipskin.
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays, that ordinance passes. 9.2, please read the title.
An ordinance approving a tentative preliminary plat of subdivision for the property commonly known as 200 North Berteau and granting a variation to reduce the proposed right-of-way width from 66 feet to 55 feet, former Elmhurst. 50 feet. Thank you on both sides here. Former Elmhurst Hospital Berteau Campus re-subdivision.
I need a motion. Alderman Levin, seconded by Alderman Polumsky. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Levin.
Aye.
Polumsky.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Tipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Conquist.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays, that ordinance passes. 9.3, the title, please.
An ordinance vacating a portion of the Avon Road right-of-way, former Elmhurst Hospital Berteau Campus.
I need a motion. Alderman Conquest. I need a second. Alderman Healy. Any discussion? Alderman Bram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just short and brief, I didn't support the report on this. I feel that city property is worth more than $1 on attorney's fees. I don't think that, I don't remember what the numbers were, $117,000 approximately would impact this development at all, especially that the overall value, market value for this is significantly more than that. The EAV is double that because that number that I just rattled off was 50% of EAV, so I can't support this ordinance.
Thank you. Any additional comments or questions? Seeing none, before we call the roll call, this requires a supermajority. Roll call, please.
Conquist.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
Polumsky.
Aye.
Graham.
No.
Tipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
I get everybody. 13 ayes, 1 nays.
13 ayes, 1 nay. That ordinance passes. On to 10 resolutions. We'll do 10.1. The title, please.
A resolution authorizing the execution of a design-build contract between the City of Elmhurst, Illinois, and Arco Murray National Construction Company, Inc. for the Addison Avenue mixed-use parking deck site at 135 North Addison Avenue, Elmhurst, Illinois.
Need a motion? Alderman Kennedy, Alderman Healy with a second. Any discussion? Alderman Kennedy
Thank
and
you.
Healy.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Kennedy.
As it relates to suspension of the rules, do we need to do anything special to do that, or?
Yeah, suspend with the rules.
It was in the report. As long as it's in the report, we don't need to suspend the
Okay.
rules.
Okay, I thought that
Okay.
too.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none? Roll
Kennedy.
call.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Conquist.
Aye.
Mullenor.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Budenkoff. I'm sorry.
No.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Tipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
13 ayes, 1 nays.
13 ayes, 1 nay. That resolution passes. Resolution. 10.2 has been removed because 10.1 was passed, and we don't need 10.2. Now on to other business. Does anybody have any other business that they'd like to bring up before the council? Alderman York?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was a point brought up about aggregation, a couple points about aggregation that I just wanted to take this moment to kind of clear up. The gentleman indicated that rates are going to go up. There is absolutely no question about that. ComEd, the utility increased the rates significantly. The savings that we were referring to was if you take action to actively opt out of the Elmhurst Municipal Aggregation Program, you will likely incur costs on an annual basis that are greater by $20 to $35, depending on your usage. And the other piece of information that I'd like to share is that the municipal tax on electricity is based on a kilowatt hour of usage, and therefore the tax doesn't vary in proportion to the cost of the electricity. It's simply based on what you use, so it rarely ever changes, unless your use changes significantly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other reports? Seeing none, I need a motion for adjournment. Alderman York. Alderman Wagner, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, pound again.
Alderman Wagner.